Hello there. Welcome everyone to the premiere episode of Healthier, Happier You. I'm Dr. Alan Chong, the spine coach. I'm a chiropractor, a life coach, a speaker, and your host of Healthier, Happier You. It's an all-new health talk show about real people, real health issues, and real solutions. You see, for over 27 years, what I've noticed in my clinical practice is that I've noticed that people want to get healthy, but what they often don't know is how to stay healthy. Healthier, Happier You is all about real life stories with real people and healthy lifestyle tips and ways to get healthy and stay healthy. That's what it's all about. And when you stay healthy, you know what I've noticed? You naturally be a healthier, happier you. Find out more about me from thespinecoach.com. If you're joining us live today, welcome and thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to post your comments and questions. We will try to get to as many of those as possible. And we'd love to have you part of the discussion and engagement. This show I want it to be engaging, and I want you to be able to participate as much as you can in the audience. Wow, I'm so excited. This is the first and premiere episode of Healthier, Happier You. It's been a concept that I've had in mind for several months now. So thank you for tuning in and watching and participating. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn some things from our special guest, and we're going to do some fun things, some things that might surprise you. You might laugh, you might cry, maybe you'll shed a tear, maybe you'll want to just say a lot of things and engage. So we welcome you. So we're going to start off today's show with a quiz. Yes, a quiz. So it has to do with, so why did I create this talk show? And as in college, we used to have multiple choice questions. I think they're still the norm today. So here's your question. Here's the question of the day. And remember, the best answer. So why did I create this show? Healthier, Happier You. A, nothing better to do. B, my kids inspired me to aim higher. So here's the little thing. They gave me this as a Father's Day card. Aim higher. C, help people live healthier lifestyles. D, have my own show. And E, all of the above. Remember, the best answer. So I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. So I'm going to tell you about my today's theme of the show is happiness. And we have a special guest. I call her happiness expert today, Tracy Baker, which I'll be introducing in just a minute. But I want to tell you about what I've discovered about happiness, and that is happiness is really a number of different things to different people. Now, Merriam-Webster Dictionary says happiness is a state of well-being and contentment or joy, a state of well-being and contentment or joy. Now, it's interesting, according to a 2013 poll, most Americans are not very happy. The poll found that only about 1 out of 3 Americans consider themselves happy. Now, that doesn't say specifically that 2/3 are not happy, but I presume that 2/3 of people might have said, well, I'm not really happy, I'm not really sad, I'm not really this or that, but they're not really considered themselves happy. So I found that very interesting. So today's topic is very, very meaningful to me because it's part of health and happiness. I believe you cannot totally separate those two. So thus the name of my show, Healthier, Happier You. So the other thing that later on the show, I want you to stay tuned to the end, because we have a weekly healthy lifestyle tip coming up later on the show. But today, our premiere show, I'm so thrilled to introduce my special guest, Tracy Baker. Some of you may know her, some of you may not. But I'm going to tell you about Tracy right now, and certainly she's going to tell us a lot about herself. Tracy Baker is the creator of the Google Plus community and show called Healthy You. What's your path? And living a life that feels good and is good for you too is kind of her motto and theme for creating that. Prior to this, though, she has, I believe, a 30-plus year career as a restaurant and food service executive. She's opened a whole ton of restaurants, she told me when I talked to her a couple weeks ago. And now she has a new career of health and happiness. And please welcome happiness expert Tracy Baker. Welcome, Tracy.
Hi, Alan. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. I like being called a happiness expert. It's fun.
Yeah, that's great. So, Tracy, welcome. And where do you hail from?
I am in Taos, New Mexico.
New Mexico. You know, that's terrific. And I haven't been there, but maybe you'll get down to visit one day.
Oh, you have to. It's a magical, magical, magical place. It's, I mean, our state motto is the land of enchantment, and they pegged that absolutely perfectly right. Awesome.
So, Tracy, tell us your story. Tell us a little bit more about, you know, what you've gone through and bit about. I'm curious more about the coming from a place of what I call despair, but to a place of joy and happiness now. And tell us about that.
Well, I don't know when it started really, Alan, but it came to a culmination about 7 years ago. I found myself unbelievably out of sorts. I had no idea what was going on. I just felt miserable, in a funk. And I am a crier anyway. Don't show me even a Hallmark movie or, you know, a really good commercial around Mother's Day and I'm bawling my head off anyway. But when you add a state of despair, as you called it, which I didn't really feel like I was in despair, I just felt miserable and out of sync with the world, and sought help because I couldn't I couldn't break free for myself. You read all the self-help books and it just wasn't working. So found a really good psychiatrist, psychologist that would not just give me a pill, because I'm a little terrified of pills, and found somebody who could dig through my brain and figure out what was going on. And it was quite shocking to be diagnosed as clinically severely depressed. And then went through about 1.5 years of some really good cognitive therapy. And that's where my path to happiness really started, and got me on the right track to understanding that we can choose what we think, and we can choose what we concentrate on, and your choice is positive or negative. The stat you gave of 1 out of 3 don't consider themselves happy. There's a great saying that I love: if you change the way you look at things, the way you look at things will change. And all you have to do is be able to go from dark to light. And we all live in the same world. We all have the same news blaring at us every day. But it's our choice what we do with that information. And so that's kind of where my path started, is realizing that I had a choice of what I thought about.
So, well, that's fascinating. I mean, terrific. So now you consider yourself. We're going to talk about that in just a bit. But what I wanted to ask you is that before that, though, you knew some things were out of sorts, as many people might these days. But what did not work for you when you're exploring what was going on with you?
You know, the simple answer is everything. Obviously, I could still wake up in the day, I can still function as a human, I could still be in the world, but it wasn't fun. Nothing was joyous. nothing, there was no serenity in my life. It was just a black place. And I bet if we ask those 1 out of 3 who don't consider themselves happy, they probably don't consider themselves depressed or in a state of despair.
Right.
But they just don't feel good. And we should feel good.
Right.
It's a beautiful place we live in. We should be able to see the joy in everything. So when I say nothing was really working, I just felt out of sync. And I don't know how better way to describe it besides it was just, everything was a chore. And it just didn't feel good. And I know that's not a very good answer, but it's hard to explain when you just don't feel right.
Oh, for sure. And so let's talk more about how you decided. It sounded like you decided to change things through counseling and work with others, but you decided to get happier and therefore get healthier as well, correct?
Yes. It's a chicken and the egg, Ellen. What came first? Obviously, decision to break the pattern, which included getting back onto an exercise routine, walking every day. One of the big things I found with both my cognitive therapy with my therapist at the time and my work with really delving into the happiness side of the planet and all of the positive research that's going on right now, counting your gratitudes every day, really being cognizant of thank you. It's two silly little words, but now as I take my walks in the morning, and exercise and movement really helps depression and mood changes. Right. So as I walk, I can look at that tree and really be appreciative of it. I can be appreciative of the sky, of the birds singing, and really training your thoughts to go for a positive as opposed to just, there's a bird, but really concentrating on the positive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you know, and I think within that you stated about 3 healthy lifestyle tips. One is be grateful, right? Have gratitude and be thankful to have that consciousness. Didn't you say about that, having that consciousness and actually acknowledging that, and then taking time to look and see? Those are great healthy lifestyle tips right there. These are these less tangibles. And, you know, and I don't mean to equate, and can you please clarify there, Tracy, that just because you're unhappy doesn't mean you're depressed. I think that drug companies would want us to think that, or the masses to think that, so you need to take something. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can through my experience.
Sure. Exactly.
I never would have guessed I was depressed. It didn't even cross my mind that I was a depressed person. But after going through 9 counselors, therapists, both psychiatrists, psychologists, and family counselors, the first thing they all wanted to do was, well, here, let me give you a prescription and then we can talk. Right. And I didn't want that. I wanted to talk so that I wouldn't have to have a prescription. And it was just a matter of, if anybody out there is feeling out of sorts, find the therapy that resonates with you. It's not going to help to mask any of the symptoms you feel, out of sort, just in a funk, just not right, or you can't find your happiness. A pill's not going to give that to you. The way you find your happiness is within, and changing the way you look at the without. Sitting down, some of the tools that I use today that I've learned through this 6-year path is, besides the cognitive counting my blessings and being grateful and thankful for the world around me, I keep a gratitude journal. I do a random act of kindness every day. For those of you who know me on Google+, and I've had a couple of people tell me they're a little annoyed at my birthday cake posts, but When you live in the middle of nowhere and the only people in your life are your husband and the man who owns the ranch, how many random acts of kindness can you do for these people before they say enough's enough?
Now, Tracy, the fact that you make these cakes for random people is just bizarre and amazing to me. So, congratulations. Are you gonna say you don't actually make those cakes?
Yeah, I don't actually make those cakes, but
Oh no, my bubbles burst.
I know. I do try to take the time to go, and if I get an announcement that it's your birthday, to go look at your profile and find out maybe a cake theme that would resonate with you. If you're into cars, if you're into the environment. Chrissy Canty's birthday was the other day, and I found a great picture of a farm scene with a tractor and some hay and some, anyway. So I do try to at least put some effort into it as to just post a cake. But
it might be hard to find a spine cake.
Oh no, I can find one. When's your birthday, Alan?
Maybe May 22nd. It's a ways off.
Oh, good. I've got plenty of time to find a good spine cake.
Spine cake. That'll be a first for me. Wow, the spine coach gets the spine cake.
How funny.
So, yeah, I mean, you've got some great tips there, and I appreciate the fact that you're sharing this candidly there, Tracy. Now, so you talked about some advice for others already, but what's exciting? Where's your life at these days? I mean, you related that you were a restaurateur basically for years. Now, what are you doing with yourself these days to be a happier, healthier you?
I was a restaurateur for years. I'm actually sitting at American Artist Gallery Bed and Breakfast because I still kind of dabble in the hospitality business.
Yeah.
And when one of my friends needs some help, I come over and babysit. She knew I had to do this today, so that's why we're here. But I think what I'm doing today to really keep myself active, I know I gave you the link, livehappy.com. It's a free happiness portal that really gives you some education into happiness, goes all the way back to the foundation of positive psychology with Dr. Spelman. It takes you through daily articles, daily, what are those little picture motivational posts. So that keeps me really going. I also found a company and a business that I can share my mentorship, share my gratitude with every day, and show people that there is choices for them to be able to break the bonds of whatever is holding them back. So every part of my life has changed in these last six years, from all aspects of it, both work and others. And
we're going to pop up a comment here. We're going to pop up a comment.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I can't read it though. It's too small. Can you read it?
I think Lisa's going to blue box it for us, maybe.
Okay, I think Lisa is. Yeah.
I'll read it for you guys. So it says, what works for me? Having a variety of self-care practices, all aimed at dissolving ego, self-critical chatter, gratitude reflections, inviting awareness, assistance of divine helpers, intentional practice laughter. This is from Elaine, by the way. Deep breathing and accompanying smiling more, and of course regularly connecting with big-hearted, open-minded folks.
Wow, Elaine, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing that, because I know you're I don't know you yet, but certainly it sounds like you're in the happiness, and you posted a comment earlier that talked about you like the term happiness factors, and certainly you listed a whole bunch of those. So the great thing about Google Hangouts on air like this is that you, all the viewers, and even in replay, can look at the event page and look at the comments from this show. So that's awesome. And be sure, Tracy, we're going to post on my website thespinecoach.com. If you just click on the show, that is the show page, which will post additional resources and a few references if the speaker has that. We'll do that weekly for each speaker, so that's something, you know, in case you missed that.
Yeah, Elaine brought up a good point, and Alan, if you don't know her, you got to go follow her. She's a laughter yoga coach.
Oh,
and
wow.
I met her on the Plus 6-8 months ago. Never heard of laughter yoga, and my issue with taking a yoga practice is I never know when to breathe. I'm so concentrated on, you know, holding my tree pose that I don't know when to breathe. And Elaine has really opened up a yoga practice for me because I can do it through laughter, and I don't have to be so concentrated on doing it perfect because we get to laugh at ourselves.
Right.
And,
well, you know,
it's just a fun practice.
The only laughter, and I fully advocate yoga, but I think the laughter comes from people laughing at me when I'm attempting to do yoga. So that's the only the laughter yoga that I'm aware of so far.
Oh no, you gotta go ping up Elaine and learn on the laughter yoga.
I definitely will after, for sure.
Yeah. Another thing she brought up is the ego-centered, and I joined a book club as part of this path of mine. Really making choices on what comes into my world. I haven't lived with the TV for 11 years, so I'm pretty good about controlling that, you know, negativity coming at me. But in addition to that, even the people I surround myself with now, it's a conscious choice to surround myself with positive people. And one of the things I do is a daily book club. It's actually just Monday through Friday, so it's not daily. And we just read Michael Singer's The Untethered Soul. And he talks about the voice in our head and what that voice does and how we can talk to that and befriend that voice. And it has made a huge difference in the conversations I have with myself. And it looks like Lisa has another question for us from the comment stream.
Yeah, it's not actually a question, just a comment. Marie Antoinette says, spending time in nature makes me happy. Going to the beach, hiking in the forest, seeing wildlife.
Yeah, you know, I think all those things are, as we alluded to, is that health and happiness are really a broad spectrum of entities and thoughts and feelings as opposed to just one thing.
I think so too, and I don't know what the stat is, but creating a space of nature and really making the conscious effort to put nature in your life, even if you live in a city, find a way to go to the zoo on the weekends, find a way to go to the park on the weekends, connect yourself with like-minded, healthy, you know, join a walking club, join a baseball team, join a softball team, join an adult soccer league. Get yourself out there and get moving and get yourself motivated. It's all a matter of breaking the patterns. If you can really sit down and look at your life and say, I'm not as happy as I could be, I'm not as peaceful or at ease as I could be, what do I need to do to change it? And then you make that decision, and then you can start with all of these tools of a gratitude list and being thankful for things and really concentrating on, you know, that is negative energy coming at me. I choose to go over here and learn about this and concentrate on this. We can just as easily read a good book as we can watching, you know, Desperate Housewives of God knows what, and improve ourselves through choice.
You know, and that is so powerful, what you're saying, tools and tips, deflecting, choosing to think otherwise. I mean, it does take a stronger personality or stronger resolution, don't you think, to do that? Like, what's gotten you over the hump to think that way?
I think the biggest thing that got me over the hump is I didn't want to go back to where I was. That's my strongest motivator. Is
Powerful.
if I don't do these daily actions, then I don't know when I started slipping, Ellen. I just know when I splatted at the bottom. I don't know how many unconscious daily choices got me to my splat. If you think about a cartoon character off the side of a cliff.
For sure.
But I know I never want to go back there again. And if I got there from complacency, I'm going to get out of there from daily choice.
Right.
And I just have so much unbelievable joy in my life. That's not to say my life isn't hard and crazy, kooky things and weird stuff come at me, but I get to say I accept what's coming at me, and I'm going to choose to find a solution instead of get caught up in the drama. What is the line? They're either victims or volunteers. I choose to no longer be a victim of what's going on around me. I choose to not be a volunteer to what's going on around me. I choose to make a daily choice every day, and I'm going to solve it or find the happiness in it or whatever. There's always a lesson in everything. So it really is a daily conscious choice.
Well, and that's fantastic stuff. I mean, that's very concise in what you described, and those are things like movement, for example, daily movement, meaningful movement. Some people call it exercise. You can call it exercise or working out. It doesn't necessarily have to be exercise in that way or workout, but upright movement is so useful for getting the endorphins going and such. I mean, I teach a number of these things in my program, and these are just fundamentals that seems like a lot of people do not know. What we're going to do is jump to the weekly healthy lifestyle tip, and then we'll be right back to you, Tracy, and then we're going to wrap up the show.
Yay.
So here's this week's healthy lifestyle tip. Now, again, this is just general comments based on some research and stuff, but it's food for thought. And it's been shown that a diet rich in omega-3 fats from raw nuts, seeds, cold water, ocean fish, foods like wild salmon, sardines, mackerel, for example, in the fish department, but almonds, walnuts, all these different raw nuts and seeds, because once you roast them, it diminishes or even eliminates or damages a lot of the fats, so they're no longer active or usable omega-3s. They're not terribly useful. Or with daily supplementation, so either through your rich diet or supplementation, significantly improves mood and brain function. So we know that happiness is not just mood or a state of depression, but not depressed, but it is also a state of brain function. So, in fact, some numbers here. The research from Life Extension magazine was published. 1,200 milligrams of and 800 milligrams of DHA were tested in that study, and the people had significantly improved mood and brain function that were getting this on a daily, regular basis. So there's a health tip for today. Most of you might know that, but certainly an area to look into that affects you. In other words, diet certainly affects that. So Tracy, any wrap-up tips or advice or things you'd have to say as we wrap up this week's show about happiness? The happiness expert, one of them. No?
Wait, no.
Oh, you do have something.
Yeah, my mute is playing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I think the one piece of advice, and that's fantastic that you folded in eating healthy, because we didn't even get to talk about that and how food changes your mood on a minute-by-minute basis. But I think my one tip is make a choice. If you're in that 1 out of 3, don't consider themselves happy, make a choice to find out what you need to do to become healthy. And the first thing is say thank you. Say thank you for everything. And you will be just amazingly surprised how just 3 gratitudes a day can change your world.
Gratitude. Great tip and great summary. You know, as we summarize the show, whether you're feeling happy or not doesn't mean you're depressed, but certainly feeling out of sorts and feeling out of sorts for long periods of time. You need to get professional advice often, and certainly any of the tips that we provided here is not professional advice. It's purely our opinion and for educational and information purposes. But you know, these are again food for thought, because there's so many factors that affect your health happiness factors are different than my happiness factors, and they don't have to be the same, nor should they be the same. But there's certain commonalities, like our personal issues and stress and what our thoughts are, and choosing healthier thoughts, and educating ourselves and being open to learning more about different ways to do things, and certainly different ways to think about things, I think is what, Tracy, you've talked about a lot in this show, and we thank you for that. And of course, supportive people like families. It's been shown clear evidence that people with supportive families and friends tend to be happier and are less you know, down mood and less unhappy. So, you know, really happiness is a spectrum, if you will. Happiness and unhappiness and sadness are normal, healthy human feelings. It's important to know that a spectrum of feeling is a good thing. It's just when it's overwhelming and there is that feeling off sorts, as Tracy mentioned, that's when it can become a problem. And please, as Tracy urged you to, is look at the different factors and make choices, whether you want to go different treatments or interventions. Those are things that are decisions you need to make with a healthcare professional. And there's many healthcare professionals that are qualified to deal with that type of thing. So, Tracy, I want to give you a special thank you as my guest for the premier all-new talk show, Healthier, Happier You. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show, and I thank you very much for your time. And for all you watchers and in live and in replay, thank you very much for watching. It's my belief that each one of you can live a healthier, happier life if you simply learn and apply healthier lifestyle habits, like Tracy talked a lot about those every day, so that you become that person that you deserve to be, that you want to be, that you imagine yourself to be. It is possible. So, and that is to be a healthier and happier you. Once again, be sure to go to thespinecoach.com to find out more about me, the show, and my online programs. Thanks for watching, and see you next week. I'm Dr. Alan Chong, the Spine Coach.